think we are live.
We are live.
You are listening to WJMF 88.7 HD2 Smithville, Providence, or you're tuned in at WJMF.com, or you're tuned in here on the Facebook Live. Welcome into the show. I'm Brian Costa.
I'm Carter Adams.
And this is Down to the Wire. You know, this has been our one show of the week. We meant to get to you guys on Wednesday, but obviously with everything involved in the election and just work in general, it really just wasn't possible because of everything. I mean, we had that policy paper that wrecked us.
We both had a very extensive paper.
Very extensive research paper. We had a month's preparation, but procrastination at its finest.
Yeah, in typical fashion.
Oh, absolutely.
You save it for the night before.
Yeah, what else did you do? I mean, I had 2 5-pagers this week, and that was just a perfect idea to save that all till the end.
That's how we operate best, under pressure.
I mean, go Bucks, go Bulldogs. That's how Brian's students do.
Exactly. Yeah.
But obviously in the world, besides sports, there's a lot of stuff going on. Obviously, we're still waiting on the result of the U.S. election, but we are a sports talk show, and we're going to try to use this hour as maybe a little bit of time to make you guys realize that there are other things in the world right now besides politics.
Oh, there are.
Yeah, absolutely.
Although it may not seem like it, there are.
Especially in times like this where people are questioning everything. I kind of like to have a show like this where we can get away from that.
No, you're right. Yeah, it's nice to come in here, sit down for an hour, talk about sports. Sports are a nice escape to everything going on politically. So
exactly. Yeah. So let's just jump right into it.
Yeah.
So I mean, obviously the biggest story, probably in sports right now, and especially in Boston, is that the Boston Red Sox have made the move to rehire their manager Alex Cora for the 2021 season. Cora obviously was fired this winter due to his role in the 2017 Astros sign stealing scandal. He later received a 1-year suspension by Major League Baseball. But he was the guy who managed to take the Boston Red Sox to the World Series in 2018. And frankly, I'm really happy that he's back. I don't know about you. How do you feel?
Honestly, I think I feel the same. I was expecting a lot more negative backlash, at least from the rest of the league, but that might just be good planning on the Red Sox time. You make this move right in the middle of the election where nobody else is going to see those headlines.
100%. Yeah. I mean, MLB kind of shot themselves in the foot in the same way because they decided to hold their Gold Gloves event on the actual night of the election.
I did see that.
Which is absolutely ridiculous because if you're trying to even get remote ratings for your sport, we're still in a pandemic and your sport did end. I mean, if you're trying to draw ratings, doing it on one of the most consequential nights in the U.S. is not a good idea.
Yeah, but I mean, clearly he just wanted to get it over with or something like that.
Yeah, but for the Red Sox sake of doing it during this time while votes is still being counted and everything going on, it definitely is. I mean, they were able to probably escape any really serious media backlash that they would have probably encountered otherwise. And I know a lot of people were one of the other guys in line for the position. Apparently the race came down to Alex Cora and former Rays player Sam Fuld. Fuld grew up in New Hampshire and basically was a Red Sox fan. Just growing up, and he also has ties that go back to the GM Chaim Bloom in Tampa. So from what I was hearing, Sam Fuld was a very legitimate candidate to have this job.
Yeah.
And some are wondering, did ownership kind of step in and say, no, this is our guy. We don't care if Sam's your guy. We think Alex can take us back to the promised land. So that's really the discussion going on right now.
With his roots in Tampa Bay, I can see perfectly clear how that could have happened.
Yeah, I mean, Fuld, I think he had like an 8-year major league career. What never was anything really too special in the majors. But he does seem to also have some coaching experience off the field. He, I believe, was the analytical manager or something like that for the Philadelphia Phillies.
Yeah.
So if he came to the Red Sox, he was probably gonna forming a team in a fashion similar to that of the Tampa Bay Rays, where we saw where basically everything is statistically planned out through like almost before the game even starts, and there's almost a formula to how things are run.
Okay.
I personally, I get that philosophy, and sometimes it works, but that philosophy is the same thing that got Blake Snell pulled in Game 7 of the World Series, which the Rays ended up. Game 6 of the World Series, which the Rays ended up losing.
Yeah.
So I like the Cora move. I know a lot of people are kind of hating on it, saying that the guy's still a cheater. Listen, I can't really attest to that, but frankly, I think if the Red Sox are trying to win, this is one of the steps that you need to take in order to do it.
Yeah.
You know, all the players really like this guy. You know, after they left, they took to social media and just just basically tweeting about how heartbroken they were that Cora had to be let go. But as I was checking Twitter today, I saw Eduardo Rodriguez, one of the Sox pitchers. He basically tweeted out his happiness towards the move. I believe he put out like a disco man emoji or something immediately after the move came out. Alex Cora took to Twitter and basically said like it's time to get back to work. And for most of the diehard Sox fans, they can't be happier, frankly. I'm one of them. I think that Cora knows this roster. Obviously, Mookie Betts isn't here anymore, but he still got Xander Bogaerts. He still got Raffy Devers. He still got Chris Hill, who's going to be coming back. And I think that if I think having a guy like Cora in that clubhouse is going to be enough to reinvigorate these guys.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, from what you're saying, it seems like players are very fond of Alex Cora. I can see how the Sam. What did you say his name was? Sam Fold. I wasn't too familiar with that name before.
Yeah. So I mean, I kind of knew the guy, but I'm like very involved with baseball. I remember he was when the 2014 Oakland Athletics were gearing up for a playoff run, they ended up trading Yoenis Cespedes to the Red Sox in exchange for John Lester and Johnny Gomes. And I remember Sam Folds was also like a notable player that he didn't come from the Red Sox, but he did go to the A's at the trade deadline.
Yeah.
And I don't remember how he really did there, but I just remember him really being a part of that trade, and nothing else really kind of is memorable for me about the guy's career.
Gotcha. You said from New Hampshire. That could have been a very, very possible move.
Yeah.
If all else fails with Cora, I mean, give this guy a call. From what you're saying, he seems like he could be a decent opportunity.
I mean the New Hampshire connection definitely I believe had some pull, but I also think the large amount of pull was from Tampa.
Yeah.
Where apparently Hein Bloom loved this guy.
Yeah.
But in the end, Cora is the guy, and I think that he's going to do a great job with the squad.
I do too. Yeah, but
I think Verdugo is really going to take a liking to this guy, and I think that all the newcomers to this roster are going to like him because he can really just rally a team.
No, you're right. Yeah.
So that kind of covers a lot of the stuff in the Cora department. Also in the Red Sox department, slugger JD Martinez has said that he's not going to opt out of his contract. I believe he signed to I think he was originally signed to like a 5-year deal, and he had an opt out through I believe years 2 and 3. I think he just declined the opt outs, and he's going to be staying for the majority of that contract. Martinez I think hit 40 something home runs in 2018. He hit like 30 the other year, and then obviously this year with the pandemic, I think he only hit about 7 or so, but that was with a shortened season anyways. Martinez is getting up there in age, but for a guy who's figured out like him, he's going to be a DH for the rest of his career. Do you like the fact that JD's going to be gearing up for the next couple of years with the Sox?
Yeah, I mean, JD Martinez is one of those names where you don't have to be the biggest Sox fan to know who he is around here. Can't be bad.
I mean, I'm thrilled about it.
Yeah.
I think that he's going to do a great job.
Yeah.
I think that he did have a rough season this year, but with everything going on, I'm not blaming him. If any guys are going to for any year to have a rough season, I'm fine with this year being the one.
Yeah.
And this could be something where he reflects on this in the offseason. He says, "Well, I had a really crummy season. I think he hit below the Mendoza line. Actually, no, he hit below. I think he hit about 213, so just above it. And I think he's going to be ready to come out better than ever.
Yeah.
And I'm excited to see it. I think he's still I believe in his early 30s, so he could really power through and make something happen.
Yeah, let's go.
Yeah. Also for the Red Sox, there was some news going on about about whether they should basically what they should do come this offseason. They made a lot of moves already. Martin Perez won't be coming back. He was a pitcher for them this year. But one of the moves that have been kind of discussed is a possible reunion between the Boston Red Sox and former ace John Lester.
Okay.
So I mean, Lester signed with the Cubs in I believe after the 2015 offseason, and he's been with them ever since. So it was around like a 7-year contract or so. that deal is finally letting up, and the Sox are possibly looking at bringing the guy back. Lester was, the last time Lester really had a solid season was in 2018, where he went 18-6. He had a he sorry he went 18-6 with a 3.32 ERA over 32 games. And ever since he's kind of been on the down, he's kind of been on the downward swing. But he's going to be 37. Maybe as a 5 starter, do you think that the Sox should take a discount on this guy and try to see if they can maybe mend that relationship?
Yeah, I mean it's notorious that the Red Sox pitching was trash this year, absolute
Oh
trash.
my
So
God.
I think someone like John Lester can't hurt. He knows the team, he
Mhm.
knows the organization. The only concern for me is his age.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, that's the biggest concern for any guys.
Yeah,
And I mean, some pitchers, as they get older, they still can hold on for a little bit because of the way they maintain their body. I don't know if John Lester's going to be that guy because I don't know. I mean, he's kind of a bigger dude,
yeah.
and I'm really kind of. I mean, it's really just a matter of how he carries that weight.
Mhm.
And I'm not trying to say he's overweight by any measure, but it's just the way that the dude's built that could impact his future in the bigs.
Yeah, he's had a very long career too.
Absolutely.
He's gone through. I'm pretty sure he had some off the field issue or
I believe he,
something.
yeah, I believe he had cancer.
Was it cancer?
Yeah.
Something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, the guy had cancer. I mean, he's been able to overcome a lot. I mean, the guy's a warrior for Red Sox Nation. I mean, the fans love him. I mean, it's a
Yeah,
it's
especially after this past season.
Absolutely.
Bringing him back can't hurt.
I mean, the only thing I think that will impact though is Lester, all these years later, still soured by the way that Boston treated him. Because going into that 2014 season, before they ended up having to trade him, and before they ended up really just skidding after that World Series championship, Lester was pitching really solid, and pretty much the Red Sox came at him, and I think it was like 4 years, 70 million, and he was basically just completely insulted by that offer.
Really?
And oh yeah, he completely insulted, even though the Sox were like, well, we thought you might take a hometown discount. And he was like, I'll take a hometown discount, but that price for him was way too. He was being like basically way undershot for what he actually thought he was worth.
Okay.
And because of that, they said, all right, we're gonna have to trade you to the A's. They got Cespedes back, who they eventually flipped for Rick Porcello, who was a key pitcher in 2016 and got us, and was still solid in 18. But for the most part, I think that if Lester is up to a possible reunion, I'd be 100% interested in seeing it.
Yeah.
But there are some discussions that the Braves could be looking at him as a late starter, which would definitely help them out. I know they're a young team that with a better presence like him could definitely be great for that organization.
No, I agree. I think any organization that John Lester goes to is in for it. I mean, from what I remember of the guy, he was very he wasn't only very talented, but he was very classy, just a wholesome dude. So you can't hate that personality in Boston.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if he does come back, I think that Sox fans are going to be very happy that a lot of faces are going to be returning. Obviously, Alex Cora is back. You're going to have John Lester back, and I think a lot of Sox fans, when Fenway Park eventually opens to the public, I think Sox fans are gonna flock there to really see one of those old faces.
No, you're right. Yeah.
Possibly win some games for them again.
Mhm.
And then finally in MLB news. The MLB came out and announced that they are not going to be punishing Justin Turner for his actions after the World Series. Turner, for any of you guys who don't know, was diagnosed with, had a positive test for COVID-19 that came back as such during the 8th inning of Game 6 of the World Series. He was subsequently removed for that, but he then returned to the field after the game to take a team picture and just mix around with all his players. Just moments after they won the whole thing, he basically since issued an apology. It's been a whole thing, and Manfred at this point has just said that the guy has acknowledged his wrongdoing, and there will not be any further subsequent punishments. I mean, do you think that Turner got a little too light, or do you think that in the terms of everything that's happened with this year, MLB is kind of right to let it go like this?
I mean, not only this year, just MLB in general, it
Yeah.
doesn't surprise me.
Frankly,
doesn't. Yeah.
I mean, I love Justin Turner. The guy is just a character. But obviously that was a little too much, I think, for anyone's sake. And I mean, it's not even like the thing of a guy like walking around on the field without a mask on or something like that, where it's like, oh, you guys have been bubbled for this long, and it's like, oh yeah, this wouldn't happen. So it's like, you know what, if you guys are all negative, it's like, what's the deal if you guys are all doing it? And then it's like, oh my God, something comes back positive, and then you can look at it in retrospect and be like, well, we thought it was gonna be a bubble, we thought it was gonna be all this, but no, Justin Turner knew he had COVID, which we reiterated after the Dodgers won the whole thing, which frankly is just ridiculous that the guy did come back on the field like that.
Yeah.
So I mean, I think he should have at least gotten maybe a fine, something at least. I don't know if I mean obviously a suspension in the MLB needs to be very in order for it to really stick. It needs to be something very significant. Like when the Astros cheating scandal came out, it needed to be a 1 year suspension for that guy. Like and an MLB suspension really can't equate to an NFL suspension because an NFL suspension like for PED use, I believe it's like 4 games and then it's back in. But 4 games, that's a quarter of your season.
Yeah.
And MLB, if you're doing a quarter of your season, that's like 40 games.
Yeah.
So there's really nothing that can actually equate to a playing wise equal suspension. So I think that MLB probably should have probably just said, hey, we're gonna fine you. Then maybe just have it go to some sort of charity. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I think that they did let Turner off a little light, even though I do really like the guy.
No, I do like him too. Like you were saying, I wasn't too familiar with him at first. But great personality.
Oh, love the guy.
It was definitely questionable when he was running back out there.
I mean, that's going to be something that I think unfortunately might carry with him for the rest of his legacy.
I see it.
I mean, I don't think the guy's a Hall of Famer, but I think that when people look back on Justin Turner, it's going to be like great personality, ran on the field with COVID, and it's just going to be like those are two things that are just going to be really just stick with the guy for probably might be his legacy.
Whenever I hear the name, that's what I think of. So.
Yeah, which is unfortunate because I think he should be remembered as something much greater than that.
It is a light punishment, though.
Oh, I mean, there was no punishment.
Yeah.
I mean, no punishment is definitely a light punishment.
No, you're right. Yeah.
But yeah, this kind of a lack of a punishment contradicts what the NFL is doing, as they also announced today that they're going to be enforcing some punishments on the Oakland Raiders for the way that they have been conducting themselves this season due to with COVID protocols. It basically came out today. I believe it was broken from Adam Schefter that John Gruden and a bunch of Raiders players are going to be receiving fines, and the Raiders have also will have to forfeit a 6th round draft pick. Wow. So obviously 6 rounders is you look at the draft and it's like 1st and 2nd rounders. That's where you're trying to really build your star players. 3 through 5. That's where you kind of try to build out the rest of your roster. If you find a gem there, then that's awesome. And then 6 and 7, it's like you're just basically taking shots in the dark.
Yes. So
I mean, obviously it's not too much of a it's not too stiff of a draft penalty. If it had been anything higher, I think a lot of people would have been taking some anger out on the NFL for that decision. I still don't like the idea of having to take away draft picks for this stuff, especially since even though this has been around since March, this is still very new for everybody.
Yeah.
So I still don't know how I feel about that.
Yeah, like you were saying, though, obviously a 6th round draft pick is not too big of a punishment. Maybe this is the NFL's way of saying, hey, we need to just take this more important.
Yeah. I mean, even though Tom Brady was a 6th round draft pick,
but that's true.
But that is like the biggest statistical anomaly of like ever.
That hasn't happened again in 21 years.
Pretty much, yeah. So
and before that, it didn't happen.
Exactly. So, I mean, you find, of course, there are like late round draft picks who can become great.
Yeah.
Who can become great players, but in terms of that caliber, I don't think that the Raiders will be missing too much from that 6th round pick.
So how does that work? Did they forfeit the draft pick and then it just gets auctioned off to a team or something like that?
No, it's so similar to what the Pats did when they lost their draft pick for Deflategate. Basically, like when the Pats pick got forfeited, the cheating scandal happened against the Colts, but the Colts don't get that draft pick. The pick just goes away, and there's only 31 picks in the 1st round. So when it gets to that 6th round, there's just going to be one less pick in that round for some reason. Which
that's one less player getting a shot to play in the NFL.
Basically,
because John Gruden can't wear his mask.
Yes. So that could be.
No, that almost seems ridiculous when you boil it down. Like that.
I mean, it's taken away.
Well, throw him a fine.
Yeah, I mean, taking away
draft picks.
Yeah, it's a very weird thing to do because it's not like if it was like if they had done it against another team, I know there were probably talks about the Colts maybe getting that pick, but in the end, it's just like unless you're doing something specifically against another team, like how do you really award those picks in a way that you don't take picks actually out of the draft, but the other team doesn't get a ridiculous advantage of maybe taking like a star-studded player.
Yeah.
So that is like the balance that a lot of that probably the NFL has been trying to manage for like forever.
Yeah, no, you're right. It does make sense when you think about it that way. Because if some random team got a player in the 6th round, they just happened to be a star. You never hear the end of it from the Raiders.
Yeah, so it's just like let's make everything disappear. Let's nip this all in the bud, and basically, it's all gonna come out fine.
No, I see the thinking, but like, you're never gonna know if you're that guy that doesn't get picked in the 6th round, I guess.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, at the same time, a 6th round draft pick, those guys are already on edge anyways, and I don't think that they're going to be blaming a missing pick for why they're not drafted.
No,
they're probably already on edge enough.
Yeah, and they're probably if it's the 6th round and you're still up on the board, you got to be thinking, hey, maybe I'm not going to get drafted.
Yeah, maybe I'm going to have to find a team in my own way.
Yeah,
it's basically that.
I'm going to have to go play in the XFL,
maybe, or the CFL. Yeah, actually, the XFL when it comes back.
Yeah,
all that stuff, but. But it is interesting looking at. I kind of discovered it all today with there was the difference in levels of punishment, especially from MLB versus NFL. Yeah. NFL is ramping it up to a 10. MLB is just like we're gonna sweep this under the rug and get to 2021.
Exactly.
Same thing. Let's hide the Gold Glove awards. Let's hide the suspension. Let's just get through this.
Let's almost hide Alex Cora
coming back to
Boston.
Baseball. I mean, AJ Hinch is already back in baseball too. So.
Yeah.
It's all just a crapshoot at this point.
I have a feeling we're going to see some Astros fans next season. Oh, Alex Cora's back.
What the heck?
Yeah.
Why did we hire AJ back? You were in the World Series.
You're right. Yeah.
But that pretty much sums up all the stuff going on with suspension wise. Yeah. Also in Boston sports news to circle back there, we were watching the Pats this Sunday, and it really did come. No pun intended, down to the wire.
It did, yeah.
It really did. And, Cam Newton passed a drive, and they were well within field goal range. But at the last second, Cam just felt the sudden urge to go scramble for a couple extra yards, only to have the ball punched out at the end.
No, I see why he would want to scramble
extra
yards. But why aren't you protecting the ball?
Yeah, just a little bit better.
Oh, it really hurts. I think that would hurt the most.
I mean, we saw that live, and I remember like the air just went out.
Oh my god, that was literally like that one probably hurt the most.
You guys immediately just walked out of the room and went to Nick's place. You just said we're done.
Yeah, because it was just absolutely ridiculous. It just hurts.
It wasn't
to beat Buffalo every single time we played them, and now big bad man under center Cam Newton can't hold on to the football when it really matters.
And it wasn't even just like purely getting outclassed or like something like the Bills actually came down and did it. It was the fact that the Patriots actually were the ones that lost the game that was so disheartening.
It was a stupid mistake that lost the game. Something
that
could have been completely avoided.
We had that game should have at least gone to overtime.
That is not Patriots football.
That
is not Patriots football.
And because of that, the Pats have now dropped to 2-5 on the year, which is frankly one of the worst starts that we've ever seen them have. In this Bill Belichick era.
Literally in our lifetime.
Yeah, literally.
Yeah.
I mean, Brady at this point is down just bulling in Tampa Bay. The guy is just absolutely tearing defenses apart with his new weapons.
Yeah.
But with the state of the Pats right now, they're faced. I'm trying to think who they're facing next week.
Jets.
Are they?
Yeah.
Finally?
Yeah, we got the Jets.
All right, so we might finally get it done.
Might. I wouldn't even put money on it.
Knocking on wood. Yeah. But with the Pats being at 2-5 right now, do you think that the Pats should try to battle on, or do you think they should try to tank for a guy like a Justin Fields in the NFL draft?
Oh man, Belichick.
I know Belichick probably doesn't want to consider even tanking, but I mean at this point it's just like just playing 7-9 football or 5-11 football is only going to get you so much.
I think whatever draft pick we get after a 2-5 start is going to be high enough for Belichick.
He'll try to do something with it.
The highest he's probably had in his coaching career.
But at the same time, he'll just take like a D3 corner who barely plays defense.
Yeah, no, you're right. He probably would pull something like that.
Mm-hmm. But I don't know. But I'm hoping that they can maybe make something happen. But in terms of moves that didn't happen, the NFL trade deadline was also on November 3rd, Election Day. So in case the world wasn't crazy enough, you guys had class registration. I didn't. But the election was on November 3rd.
Wow.
The NFL trade deadline was on November 3rd. Jake's birthday was on November 3rd. Happy birthday to Jake.
Yeah, that's
Late
right.
birthday
Yeah.
now. But everything. November 3rd, basically everything was going down.
No, Tuesday was a crazy day.
Yeah,
Crazy.
and while other people's eyes weren't on ballots coming in, a lot of people's eyes were basically saying, well, what are especially in New England, they were wondering, are the Pats going to shop Stephon Gilmore? There were a lot of rumors rumbling saying that, especially since Gilmore put his house on the market, he was sending out kind of ominous tweets about how you kind of learn about I guess it's like when times get rough, you learn about people's true intentions. It was like a lot of kind of like under the radar, slightly shady stuff. And people were wondering what is this guy talking about? And it was just I was like, these all kind of look like the signs of a guy who has his foot out the door. And Belichick basically just slammed any shot of that and said, no, this guy's going to be here. Do you think that the Pats should have shopped Gilmore, especially with the season they're having right now, or do you think that, or what are your real opinions on it?
Did they try to shop Gilmore? Did Belichick try to?
Apparently the discussed price for Gilmore was a first and a player.
Yeah, which is what I think we actually said that on the show.
Yeah,
that we thought Belichick was going to want a player and a pick for Gilmore.
Oh yeah, I mean I completely get it.
Yeah, no, that's definitely what he's worth.
Yeah, I would think so.
So no other team clearly was willing to give that.
No, I mean he is arguably the best corner in the league when he's at his top, but even on the Pats this year, he probably wasn't even the best cornerback on the roster so far. Yeah. I mean, some people have argued that that's been J.C. Jackson so far this year.
Oh, clearly.
Yeah, the guy
this year, yeah.
Yeah, the guy's just a stud.
But that's really just how the Patriots operate. You don't know if Gilmore's going to go back out there this season and be the most effective corner on the defense. Mm-hmm. And it's proving to be J.C. Jackson, like you said, this season. So
yeah, I don't know. I mean, the guy also basically, his contract is very front loaded. He's I think only making about $7 million next year.
Yeah.
So they're really either gonna have to restructure it or he's gonna really want to be traded out of there for something.
I give him till the end of the season.
Yeah. I mean, at this point, you have to now.
Yeah.
But, I wonder what Belichick's gonna end up doing when the offseason does hit. I wonder if I really do think that Gilmore is going to be out the door.
Let's hope he can get a first-round pick and a player.
So, I don't know. With a year left on a contract, that's going to be really tough to get.
Yeah. Well, if Belichick wants a pick and a player, what round pick would you say? Like 2 or 3?
You're at this point, a two would probably be great if you can get him. If you're trying to get a pick and a player, it's got to be a second at this point. I don't think you can give up a year for if you don't think you can give up a first for a year of a player. You can't guarantee he's going to
come back. Because his contract does need to be restructured. He said it's up in a year.
I mean, unless it ends up becoming like a sign and trade thing where the Patriots are like, hey, we'll give you like this team is going to end up signing you to a contract that's going to be guaranteed.
Yeah.
But you're going to be part of this trade package, but don't worry, the contract is guaranteed. Then I think that they could consider doing something like that. But unless there's really anything, definitive, I don't know. I really don't know, how much more that the Pats could get.
Gotcha.
But there's a lot of stuff going down in New England right now. Some people are also wondering that with the season the Pats are having, they're wondering if wide receiver Julian Edelman is disgruntled and possibly this could be his last year in New England. I mean, his favorite quarterback just ended up fleeing to Tampa and seems to have a new best friend in Scotty Miller down there. Also Antonio Brown, Mike Evans, Chris Godwin. His boy Gronk is down there. So Julian Edelman is probably just sitting at home, probably all sorts of jokes.
Waiting for his invite, man.
Exactly.
Waiting for his invite to the party.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And a lot of people are wondering, do you think that Edelman might try to get out at some point?
I think he's definitely going to try to get out.
Mm-hmm.
If not actually get out.
I mean, Edelman's basically like one of Belichick's. I don't know if he's actually in that echelon of Belichick guys where. I think Belichick definitely loves Edelman, but I think when you compare him to guys like the McCourties and the Slaters of the world, does he get into those guys, or is he still kind of part of that Brady?
No, I think he's still part of the Brady mix. he's not the same Edelman as he used to be.
Exactly.
He hasn't
Which is
been.
unfortunate because, he isn't that dog that he used to be where he could take absolute just shots over the middle.
Literally, yeah.
Where, and
Like
obviously.
the Wes Welker suicide passes.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
And obviously after time that's going to happen to you because you can only take so many hospital passes before you're actually put in the hospital. And I think he is now. I think he just had to have surgery on something. So he's going to be out for a little bit of time too.
Yeah.
I think that Edelman definitely might try to team up with Brady one last time to go out.
You think he's going to Tampa Bay?
I think so. I think maybe if the Bucks are really trying to build a super team that makes Brady happy, I think they could look at maybe shopping a guy like Scotty Miller. Maybe the Pats look at maybe getting Edelman's replacement. I don't know.
Okay.
It's up in the air.
Yeah, I didn't expect him going to Tampa Bay, but now that I think about it,
it's
possible.
It's gonna happen.
He's getting up there in age.
They already got AB down there now.
It's the retirement home.
Exactly. It's literally Heaven's waiting room.
Yeah.
So it's gonna be like that for.
I guess Edelman belongs there.
Yeah, it's 100.
At this point in his career, yes.
We were speculating it with AB, and we were just like, we were like, oh, that would be cool if that happens, but the actual odds of it are so up in the air. But then it actually did happen.
Yeah.
Where it's just like, oh my God, they're a super team now.
Yeah. The thought of that. Wow.
Yeah. Obviously AB's there now. He's going to be starting this weekend. You have him in your fantasy. You have him on your fantasy team now.
Go.
So that means you obviously have a ton of confidence in the guy. Do you think that AB is going to be a weapon this weekend?
Yes. Oh my God, yes.
Okay, fine. Why do you think that?
He's AB.
I agree with you. Frankly, I do think that he'll be a big factor. But some people are wondering, is he, with the time off from football he's had, is he gonna need a game or two to really?
I'm sure he'll need a game or two to get back fully to how he was when he was near his prime.
Yeah.
But I don't. I've heard reports that people are saying he's looking better than ever in practice. Like he literally hasn't stepped away from football.
Of course he's looking better than ever now that he's teaming up with Brady in Tampa.
Oh yeah, but just physically, I don't see why. He's been working a lot with Brady. He's staying at Brady's house. Brady has supposedly been training him in mental health and probably in physically too. So
of course he is. Of course Brady has just been training him to become the next guy.
Of course, yeah. No, you remember the Tom tapes or whatever they were called, those Facebook videos when he was working out with Edelman in the off season, out in the mountains and everything.
Yeah.
He's definitely doing the same thing with AB right now. It's just a matter of time before we get the short series on it.
Definitely. I am wondering how the documentary series you're thinking about was Tom versus Time.
Tom versus Time. Yeah, Tom tapes, whatever. Something like that.
But I do think that I know I was asking it just basically as a question to see what you were thinking on it. But I do think that AB will definitely be more of a factor than I think people are speculating him to be because, you look at how he came into that Pats offense versus Miami, and Belichick basically said, all right, you're gonna be the guy in this offense. We're going to revolve this thing around you, and we're gonna just basically we're just gonna abuse the crap out of you.
Yeah. Like he was doing with Cam Newton, running him all the time in week 1 and 2.
Yeah, and how's that working in week 8?
Exactly. Yeah.
How's that working against the Bills?
Yeah.
So I think that AB will come out. I think he's gonna have a big game. I think Brady's gonna definitely try to target him in the red zone to get on that first TD as a buck. So I think that all that stuff is up in the air. This Bucks offense at this point is absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah, Antonio Brown is arguably one of the most talented receivers. Returners that we've seen come through the league.
Mm-hmm. When he was in the NFL with the Steelers, he was pretty much the best receiver in the league.
He was.
And at this point, if he's looking better than ever, that is really scary.
Yeah, we don't really know what's been going on specifically with him off the field, at least lately. I know when he first got off the field, he's going through all of his shenanigans, his stuff. But as of now, I haven't heard any negative reports about him in so long. So we don't really know what he's up to.
Yeah, and AB could really come in there, and some people are like, oh, he's going to be like this sort of a weapon underneath. But AB might end up turning into the best weapon that Brady has on this entire team, which is crazy to think about because some people might just be like, oh, he's just going to be that slot guy that Brady can hit underneath, but he's still going to be focusing it around Mike Evans and all these guys. But it's like, no, Antonio might come in and just become the wide receiver one.
Yeah.
Which I don't think a lot of people really think about.
He literally will not have to lift a finger
Exactly.
He can put the ball somewhat within Antonio Brown's vicinity, and it's a reception. Like, it's ridiculous.
I mean, and if defenses even dare to double team Antonio Brown, there's going to be another star just wide open.
Anywhere on the field. Anywhere.
You can go. You can
another star. You mean another 5-6 stars?
Yeah,
like
exactly. You're
ridiculous.
gonna have Gronk teamed up against a linebacker. You're gonna have Godwin or Evans going open down that way. Oh jeez. But
some visitors.
Yeah, exactly.
What's up, Julian?
Nice. But we're gonna have it's gonna be really interesting to just see, how and not to even mention you got Ronald Jones, Leonard Fournette, and LaShawn McCoy.
Running back core is
Yeah,
insane,
I mean, people don't even talk about that running back core because the receivers are just so overpowered.
Yeah.
And I think that, I think that the Bucs have 100% figured it out at this point. This Sunday Night Football game is going to be a gem.
Yeah.
I think this Sunday Night Football game is going to be it's going to be absolutely awesome to watch. Bucs Saints.
Michael Thomas is coming back too.
Mm-hmm.
Let's go! Finally.
I think that. You're going to see. I think you're going to see probably the passing touchdown records just shift multiple times throughout the night.
See a shootout.
Yeah,
shootout.
I think Brady has the advantage right now by like one touchdown.
Yeah.
So you're going to see him and Brees just exchange records throughout the night constantly. Yeah. It's going to be insane to watch.
Yeah.
Because because of that injury that Brees had last year, Brady was able to catch up a ton. And, because of all the just plethora of weapons he has in Tampa right now, he's just been able to absolutely just pad those stats.
Yeah, he's after that record.
I think he has the most touchdowns, through 8 games or so. I think he already has 20 touchdowns. That's
ridiculous.
And that's pretty much one of the best starts ever in his career, which just is incredible to say that at age 43. Obviously you're doing it with the NFC Pro Bowl team.
Yeah.
But if you're doing it at all at that age is incredible.
Yeah. No, you're right. I really don't like this whole Brady versus Belichick argument.
Yeah. I don't know. It is kind of a tough argument to make, especially since they're both not players. And it's like Belichick is definitely, managing a much weaker team this year. So the argument is really gonna be about, is Belichick is this more of a mismanaged team on Belichick's part, or is this, Belichick not getting the funding that he wants to craft?
No, I think that's definitely more Belichick not getting the funding. He's already proven that he's the greatest coach of all time.
Yeah, it's like give the guy the ability to go out there and fetch some talent. I think he's gonna.
Exactly, and it's like Brady walked away, put himself in completely different circumstances, and is now playing with probably the best offense he's ever seen in his career.
Yeah, 100%.
And an argument isn't really valid.
Belichick's is basically just running special teamers out there at this point.
Yep. No, you're right.
People were talking about, Demir Bird might be a solid weapon. It's like Demir Bird's a non-factor.
Yeah. No,
Jacoby Myers is probably a boss at this point.
You really think so?
I think so. It's really just not looking like it.
You don't think that has anything to do with the quarterback situation?
I don't. I really don't. I just think that, but you look at
O-line recently.
Look at a team look at almost any other team that's been able to, rebuild their wide receivers. Look at the Packers, for instance. Coming up, they had Jordy Nelson as one of their top receivers, and they were slowly able to transition into Devontae Adams, who came into that offense as a guy who pretty much was whenever anyone else wasn't open, they tried to target this guy. And now I think Skip Bayless, obviously he has a lot of ludicrous takes, but he came out there and he says that Devontae Adams is arguably one of the best receivers in the game. And, some people, but they've also been able to acquire guys like Alan Lazard. They've been able to acquire guys like Valdez Scanlon.
That's true.
So, teams like those guys and other teams throughout the league have been able to rebuild their wide receiver cores in very successful ways. And the Pats have kind of really faded as well.
I think I'm still going to give it a little longer before I start considering these guys busts.
Yeah.
Because I do think
that Harry a little longer, but Jacoby Myers, to me, frankly, I think is done.
Yeah.
I think it's a done deal.
I think Jacoby Myers as well. Demir Bird, still have a little hope in that dude. But I think back to week 2 against the Seahawks.
He has flashes, but it's just a matter of. But I don't know if he can consistently put stuff together. It's more. The
stars have to align for him to get it.
Exactly. It's like what Philip Dorsett was here, but it's like imagine. But it's like imagine Philip Dorsett actually needs to be a legit option and not a fifth receiver that you throw to him.
If the O-line can hold every block and Cam Newton can get a clean throw off, Veer Bird's in the right spot at the right time, then he's going to get his flash.
And the quarterback trips on his shoelace.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
I hate to say that, but you're almost right.
Like the stars have to align for a guy like a Demir Bird or a Phil Dorsett.
And the reason why I give these guys a little bit more time before I can start considering them busts is because you think back to week 2, the end of that Seahawks game, and I think about the way that the Patriots were able to just march down the field, only passing like it was nothing against the Seahawks. Week 2 was a long time ago. We've been through a lot since then, but that was at the beginning of the season.
I know, but I feel like at this point, I feel like a lot of players might be disgruntled, and I really do wonder whether
it's just frustrating seeing that flash of hope and watching it slowly fade away over the course of the season.
Mm-hmm. And finally, in football, we something interesting to talk about is, obviously in the AFC, we talked about the Kansas City Chiefs, who have just been, we were talking about the Bucks, but obviously the Kansas City Chiefs are pretty much nothing short of a super team as well. They have an insane amount of weapons, but one of the teams that we haven't been talking about as much has been the Pittsburgh Steelers, who are still undefeated. They're currently 7-0. Do you think that the Steelers could be legitimate threats to the Kansas City Chiefs in the AFC, or do you think this is similar to kind of what the Pats were last year, where they kind of rattled off 8 straight wins at the beginning of the season and went out in the wild card round? Do you think that this Pittsburgh team can really do something, or do you think it's more kind of a mirage?
I haven't really watched this Pittsburgh team play all too much. It's really just been the hype, in terms of what I've been exposed to. So I really don't know.
Yeah, I mean, one thing that's definitely intriguing to me is the fact that Big Ben has been able to come back and really lead these guys.
Oh yeah,
So I mean,
it's great.
So I mean, I know you probably been watching them too closely, but the fact that Big Ben has been able to come back in the fashion he has is absolutely incredible. Knowing that he went out with Tommy John surgery,
he just looks better.
Like
he does.
I mean, he seems. I mean, frankly, one of the things that really plagues Big Ben is his interceptions.
Yeah.
I mean, I mean, he's the type of guy where it's just like he's going to get you there. He's going to throw you a ton of touchdowns. But a 20 interception season isn't something that is definitely something that could happen to the guy.
Yeah.
And it's just like you have to hope that the majority of those passes are going to end up being caught for your team.
Yeah.
And Big Ben is probably a Hall of Famer, but it's just a matter of sometimes his accuracy can really come back to bite him.
Yeah, I really didn't think he had this left in him.
And what I was trying to jump on is that this season he's been very extraordinarily accurate so far.
Yeah.
And the fact that he's able to do what he's doing is just insane. Frankly, I think the fact that a lot of people look at Big Ben and some people kind of think that he's almost older than Brady with the way he was playing in that final season. But I think that Big Ben could definitely hold on for a little bit longer. I think that the Steelers' window with the guy is probably opened up a little bit, which they definitely weren't expecting.
Yeah.
And I think that if the stars align for the Steelers, they also have some great receivers. They have Chase Claypool. They got Juju. So I think that the Steelers could definitely make a run.
Yeah, it's just surprising that at the beginning of the season, Mike Tomlin was able to look at Ben Roethlisberger and say, this guy's going to give my young team the best chance at winning, because I would not have done the same.
I would have definitely had severe questions with Big Ben coming into the season, especially with just his injury history and his age.
And that's when you get him in. I thought he was going to step in the office and be ready to call it quits, hang up the cleats.
Hey, coach, I'm done.
Yeah, that's what it was looking like. But
I know. Honestly, walking off into the sunset could have been 100% a possibility.
Comes back this season, he looks honestly better than ever.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
But that's kind of all we have in the NFL. Jumping over to the NBA, another decision that's kind of been hidden so far with all the election results and stuff coming out is that the NBA has decided to begin their season on December 22nd. It's going to be a 72-game season, and I believe they're actually going to be able to end it before the scheduled 2021 Summer Olympic Games. What are your thoughts on the NBA coming back so soon?
Did not expect it, first of all. Very surprising that the Players Association passed that.
Yeah.
Voted in favor of it. I don't know. I thought the players would have wanted some more time off.
I think the players did want more time off.
They do want more time off.
Yeah, and I think the fact that they are probably just looking down at their phones and are just like, oh, that's in like just a little over a month.
We got to work in a month. Like, what?
They're probably just like, oh no, I need to hit the gym again.
No, you're right. But at the same time, I mean, the bubble only affected a little over half the league.
I mean, those are the that's the contending half of the
contenders.
league.
No,
It's
you're
just a
right.
matter of,
Yeah.
I mean, the last thing I think the league
Yeah.
wants is it to be like, oh yeah, all the teams that are like, good, yeah, they're all going to be rusty. They're going to be rusty. Like the last place teams in the league are going to be just gunning from the start.
Yeah, maybe we see a little bit of diversity in the competition, but
I mean, it's well within it's a pretty decent possibility for it. I mean, I'm very surprised that they're getting back, especially like as you said, it being so soon.
Mm-hmm.
I just can't believe that. Some of the vets are going to be. I think that I forget who said it. I think it was Danny Green or someone. They were saying that if they come back, you're not going to see the vets for a while.
Yeah, I believe Danny Green said that, but also LeBron said he was going to quote cherry pick the first half of the season.
Which doesn't surprise me at all. That's 100% a LeBron quote.
Doesn't surprise me at all. And honestly, go for it, dude.
Yeah.
You're like,
you were
old.
Yeah. He's probably like, isn't he like 35, 36?
Yeah, as long as you're out there.
Yeah. if you're out there by the end, I think that's all the fans pretty much care about.
Yeah.
Right. Maybe he'll come out for the Christmas game to make some of that cash.
And that's exactly why this is starting on December 22nd.
Yeah, they want the Christmas games because it's like their version of NFL Thanksgiving.
It's their Christmas.
Exactly.
They get paid. I don't know. I thought by early start to next season we were at least gonna make it till the end of the year before they decided to start anything back up. But I don't know. I thought it was gonna be in January.
I think that I don't know if we're gonna have enough time to probably get to obviously in NBA. We're probably gonna have to save that off for next week.
Okay.
But it is currently 7:52 on this Friday night, and I believe it is officially time that we are down to the wire.
Down to the wire,
which means we're gonna go run through everything that we talked about in the past hour before we send you guys off for the night.
Sounds good.
So in MLB, we obviously talked about Alex Cora coming back to the Red Sox. I don't know the specifics of the contract yet, but very excited to see what he'll do up there.
Me too.
A lot of people were concerned about his role with the cheating scandal, but I think that frankly, this is going to give them the best shot to win. Sam Fold was in the position, but really not a ton going on there. Any last thoughts that you have on that?
No, I mean, if all else fails with Cora, you got a good guy to go back on if he doesn't get another job.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think that you have a lot more to. I think that Chaim Bloom has a lot more to win with that position than he did with Sam Fold. I think that if Chaim Bloom says, you know what, I know the ownership wants this Alex Cora guy back, but you know who I want? I want my guy Sam. And then all of a sudden Sam Fold comes in and you only win like 60 games, and then Chaim Bloom's just standing off there in a corner just going,
yeah, then there goes his
job.
No. Yeah.
He's just like, I thought I was supposed to be the analytical czar of baseball, and the Red Sox are like, get the hell out.
Yeah.
Get the hell out.
Leave.
Please.
Adios.
We want to win.
Yeah.
So I think that this kind of was a very ownership heavy move, but I think that if it works out great for Boston, I don't think Chaim Bloom will be complaining.
No, you're right. Yeah.
We also talked about JD Martinez not opting out of his contract. We talked about John Lester about a possible John Lester reunion in Boston. We also talked about the MLB deciding not to punish Justin Turner for his COVID masking issue. I still can't believe that guy came on the field.
Absurd.
Still can't believe that guy came on the field.
Yeah.
But then we compared that with the NFL's punishments on the Las Vegas Raiders. For their COVID-19 protocols. The Raiders have been stripped of a 6th-round pick and have been fined, I think, somewhere in the range of $500,000. John Gruden, I think, has also received significant fines because he has not worn masks on the sidelines.
Yep.
So, I mean, it's going to be interesting to see if Las Vegas gets any more penalties delivered their way. I think that, with the way that the Raiders have been organizing themselves this year, I really don't see it. I really don't see them shaping up at this point. I think that they're probably just going to ride this thing out and just say whatever.
Yeah.
But then we also talked about the kind of last minute meltdown for Cam and the Pats as he fumbled versus the Buffalo Bills in the closing seconds of that Pats game. Obviously, it was terrible for us, and basically, there's a lot of Pats fans scratching their head and wondering if we should tank for a guy like Justin Fields in the NFL draft. We also talked about the Pats holding on to Stephon Gilmore at the trade deadline and whether or not this could be Julian Edelman's last season in New England. Yeah. We also talked about Antonio Brown returning for the returning to football to play for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and the impact that he will have. And we also talked about the Pittsburgh Steelers starting the season off 7-0 and how legitimate they seem in their division. Obviously the Steelers are in first place. The Ravens, are actually having some struggles. Lamar Jackson ain't looking too great. It's going to be interesting to see if the Ravens can, claw back and maybe steal that division from them.
Definitely.
The Ravens, obviously, I think Jackson had 4 turnovers in that game. It's definitely going to be difficult to see if he can, really get back into MVP form. I don't know. It's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting to see if some of these teams have figured him out. I couldn't figure out my words there for a second.
Yeah.
And then finally, in NBA, we talked about the NBA season being determined to start on December 22nd. It'll be a 72-game season and it will end before the 2021 Olympic Games. Definitely excited to have basketball back sooner rather than later.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I was definitely not expecting it to be back this soon. Can't wait.
Yeah. No, me neither. Even though it's tougher to keep up with it on a night-to-night basis, it's stuff to talk about. It's interesting news.
Like you're saying, like talking basketball, it's similar to kind of talking baseball, where you almost need to take a stretch of about 5 games to make up for about like 1 week of football.
Yeah, exactly.
You talk about, like, if you're talking about every single Celtics game, unless that's like your prerogative, then a lot of people are just gonna be like, everyone has a bad game.
Yeah.
But I think that it could be interesting to see I think it's going to definitely be interesting to see how this NBA season wraps up when we do get back here and we are live again next semester doing shows here. We're gonna be very happy to be talking about NBA again.
Yeah, no, NBA is really just it's those big meaty headlines
that
you can talk about in the show.
Yeah, it's not always breaking down like the post game things that happen in the game. It's more just like, well, what drama is going on there? Because it's reality TV.
It literally is, yeah.
Exactly.
And that's why so many people like it. Honestly, that's why I'm so intrigued by watching NBA.
I mean, obviously, I like the basketball aspect of it. I like the sport, but you don't really see
the gameplay for the most part is pretty soft.
Yeah,
it's
pedestrian at this point.
It's headlines.
Exactly. Yeah. It's all drama, and I think that's what a lot of fans are there to see at this point.
Yeah, but speaking of big headlines in the NBA, I won't get into it right now, but before we go, a little preview for next show. James Harden, 76ers are interested.
Yeah, I know. That was the last headline we're talking about. Daryl Morey obviously was hired as the president of the basketball ops there. We're gonna have to. That'll be something that we definitely talk about in our next show. Can the 76ers land James Harden? You're gonna have to find out next time because it is officially 7:57. You have been listening to WJMF 88.7 HD2 Smithville, Providence, or you've been tuned in at WJMF.com, or if you've been watching here on Facebook. Thank you for tuning into the show. I'm Brian Costa.
And I'm Carter Adams.
And this has been Down to the Wire. We'll see you guys next week.
And we just left you on a cliffhanger. Thanks for the support.